Close Sports Pulse USA Today Sports NFL experts tell you who's going to win the biggest matchups of Week 15. USA Today Sports Kansas City Marcus Peters sat on a folding chair facing into his locker late Saturday night, fresh off one of the biggest games of his young career. The volatile young cornerback glanced to his left to see Kansas City Chiefs owner Clark Hunt waiting a few feet away. Peters reached out his right hand to Hunt, who responded with a handshake and a pat on Peters' shoulder. The two men smiled and spoke for several moments. Minutes later, Peters would shrug off a gaggle of reporters hovered nearby, waiting to hear about his three-takeaway night in the Chiefs' 2013 win against the Los Angeles Chargers. Peters picked off two passes and forced a fumble, all in second half, helping Kansas City regain control of the AFC West. The performance came a week after his one-game suspension from Chiefs coach Andy Reid, who disciplined Peters for leaving the field and throwing an official's penalty flag into the stands during a Week 13 loss to the New York Jets. Shaking his head, Peters decided to let his play Saturday speak for him. More NFL playoff picture Week 15. More USA Today Sports Week 15 NFL picks. Me teammates got me, he said as the throng of reporters and cameras dispersed. That's how it almost always is with Peters, who tend to allow others to interpret both his play and behavior, which this season has included multiple interactions with officials that have drawn personal foul penalties, a late hit that sparked a scrum in a game against the Raiders, and expletives directed at fans unhappy with Peters' decision to protest during the national anthem. Saturday night was a reminder of why, even during those difficult moments, Chiefs players look at Peters and see a leader and one of the most important players. No one said they were surprised that Peters would have such a big game upon his return from suspension. I think he came back with an ego. He wanted to prove to us that he missed us and he wanted to be here, safety Ron Parker said. The win moved the Chiefs one game ahead of the Chargers in the division standings, but also gave them a crucial season sweep of the Bolts. Kansas City can clinch the division title by beating either Miami or Denver in the final two games of the season. And to do it, they'll likely need the aggressive, earth-controlled, passionate and dynamic version of Peters that showed up against LA. His first interception came late in the third quarter, as Chargers quarter Philip Rivers was trying to match the Chiefs' score for score. Rivers, who mounted a late MVP surge during his team's revival from an 0-4 start, had been gambling for much of the game, testing Peters and other Chiefs defensive backs on deep passes. But Peters was ready, and he tracked the pass that Rivers lofted up for receiver Terrell Williams, picked it off and returned it 62 yards. He was hanging on my route, and he was covering his route at the same time. He did a great job. The kid is smart, he knows the game, Parker said. I sat and watched the ball go in the air, and I just knew Marker was going to be there. He did a good job of finding the ball and making the play that he always makes. Early in the fourth quarter, Peters wrapped up Chargers running back Austin Ekeler and punched out the ball as he spun the rookie around. Then, with 2 minutes remaining, Peters pilfered Rivers again on another deep pass, this interception ending the Chargers' desperate attempt at a late rally. He's always aggressive in his play, so this was not different that way, Reid said. I don't think he was out to prove anything. He doesn't have to. Peters' play was a microcosm of a strong defensive effort against a Chargers team that entered Saturday's game on a hot streak. Rivers had been especially sharp, with 8 touchdowns and no interceptions in Los Angeles' 4-game win streak. The Chargers had averaged nearly 33 points per game during that span as they moved into a tie with the Chiefs in the division. But the Kansas City pass rush pressured Rivers early, sacking him twice in the first 20 minutes of the game while largely shutting down receiver Keenan Allen, who had just 5 catches for 54 yards, ending a 4-game streak of 100-yard receiving games. Kansas City shut out the Chargers over the final 24 minutes. We definitely wanted to put pressure on Philip Rivers. We know he's a gunslinger, he does take chances, he does take risks in the passing game. And we just happened to put pressure on him with the front 7, and guys did a great job, Chiefs corner Darrelle Revis said. Revis, who signed with Kansas City a few weeks ago, is just getting to know Peters, who responded well to teammates and practiced well in the days leading up to his monster game. He's the same way every day. He's not up and down. He's a very energetic guy. He's got a chip on his shoulder, that's just how he goes about his everyday life, Revis said. It definitely hurt him, but at the same time, we're glad to have him back and have him make the plays that we know that helps capable of making. Follow Lindsay H. Jones on Twitter at @BelindsayHuonis Photos Week 15 NFL Action.